I got rockets for days. Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and today I'm going to be testing Titan rockets. Titanball is the official sport of the auxiliary. If you're not sure what Titanball is, there will be a link to the video on the rules down in the description. It's similar to rugby or soccer or football, any of those move the MacGuffin through the other team to the goal to get points, except instead of a ball we use rocket launchers and all of the players are heavily armed. It's basically battle ball, and it's a lot of fun. Problem is getting a hold of the rockets. So what I have today are a variety of rockets, including 2 sets of homemade rockets that hopefully will be available. I will be reaching out to the 2 people who provided them to me and seeing if they're still producing them and if they'd be interested in, scaling up production, because I want Titanball to be more widespread, because it is a wonderful game. It works really, really well, and it can be adapted to just about any play field. You don't have to use the exact goal that we're using. You don't even have to use Titan rockets. You could use Demolisher rockets or Pump rockets or whatever you have available, but Titans are just better. So if we can get good working Titan rockets, it'll be fabulous. So I've got my goal set up here. It's a 8 cones set up in a square, 3 paces apart. Again, you can set up your goal, whatever works in your field. You can make it bigger, smaller. It could be a target you have to hit. It could be the wall of an indoor building. Whatever works in your space. But we generally use this style. And then I'm parallel to my shooting range, and I've got markers set up every 25 feet, and that's what I will be testing at. So 25 feet should be fairly easy. 50, getting a little bit more difficult to hit a target that small. 75 feet, I'll be real hard pressed. I'll be amazed if I get any goals at 75 feet. And then 100, I doubt any of them will even fire that far. But I wanted to see. Some of these are much lighter, and they might actually go that far. So we're going to find out. I will then also be firing at point blank range so you can see the perils of Titanball. So here we go. Let's blow some stuff up. First, let's meet the rockets. Right, so here in my new cart, I have all of the rockets. The tactical bear has, of course, been put in charge of ordnance. We have some stock rockets. We have repaired ones using pool noodle that I did. We have some larger heads with the cone shape and then smaller heads just using craft foam. And they're a little bit light. I don't have any kind of weight, denser foam or rubber or anything in the heads, and so they're very light, and we'll see what that does. We then have some ones that I got on eBay where they're very similar construction. They're all pool noodle construction and craft foam, but then they've filled the head with hot glue, which gives it the necessary weight. And then we have the custom ones that I was recently sent in fan mail, which are also all pool noodle, but they have a stress ball head, which will hopefully, some of them have smiley faces, and I love that. I actually have those same smiley balls, those smiley face balls. I was planning to do the same thing. Mine are very similar, but then it's pool noodle. And I'll go into the differences in construction towards the end, but we're going to start with the firing because it's just way more fun. And we'll see how they all measure up. I was going to be using one green Titan and one red Titan, but the green Titan turned out to be underpowered, so we're going to stick with the red. And let's start by firing at 100 feet and see how far they will go. All right, we will start with a stock rocket and see how far we can get it to shoot. We've blown the head off. This is the peril with old Titan rockets. We try it again. It veered. There's a bit of a crosswind, but it's gone a decent distance. All right, now we're going to try one of the repaired ones with the small pool noodle head. We'll see how far it launches. Oh, look at that drift. It's got no mass. Try one of the ones with a slightly larger head. Yep. All right, now the first of the completely homemade. These ones have the hot glue in the heads. We'll see how they fire. Nice and straight. I mean, straight as an arrow. Didn't go as far, and that could be for a number of reasons. And finally, our smiley face head ones. Oh, also straight as an arrow. The helixing actually kicks in, and they actually spiral. Beautiful. Let's take a look at those ranges, and then we'll step it up to 75. All right, so the pool noodle repair head ones are coming in. I mean, this is probably maybe 30 feet. Yeah, they don't have enough weight in the head. The other one came short, a little bit further, but short of 50 still. We then had this one come in at pretty much exactly 50. That one, maybe at 60, give or take. And then we had the stock one come in about halfway between 50 and 75. But it veered off to one side. So, yeah, interesting results. Let's step it up. Right, I'm here at 75 feet. We again have the stock rocket. Let's see what we can hit. Oh, so close. All right, our eBay custom job. Okay. And finally, our fan mail custom build. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's go take a look at those. All right, we have a little bit more range out of the eBay one, but it definitely came in the shortest, and I did fire off to this side a little to try to compensate for wind, and I needn't have bothered because the thing flies straight as an arrow, which is beautiful. The fan build one, I didn't compensate, and it is dead center. It's just a little short, so it's not quite going 75 feet. And then once again, the farthest range was in fact the original ones. It was just short of the goal, but off to one side, because they don't fly quite as straight. So let's move up to 50 and see if I can't actually sink some goals. All right, here we are at the 50. Now this is actually extreme range in Titanball. You rarely ever see anybody try for a shot at this range in a game. At least I very rarely have. Occasionally people will, and sometimes it pays off, but depending on which rockets they're using, it varies. We pretty much only ever use actual stock rockets anymore. I quit using the repaired ones, and you'll see why here in a minute, though it does make it interesting. But I should be able to sink some goals with this. Hypothetically, this will actually overshoot this range. So I'm going to have to be careful. Now, the other ones will probably hit just about exactly right, and I'm hoping I can. And I will fire all of the custom ones to see what we can get as far as how many I can get in. So we'll start with our single working one. I had one blew the head off of a stock one. I need to reglue it. So here we go. Oh, that is way over. Darn it. All right. eBay ones. This should be exactly at their range. Oh, it's good. We'll try the other one. Yes. It's in. All right. Fan built ones. Oh, that might be, I think it's in. It might be over. Now we check for consistency, because those eBay ones were very consistent. It almost hit the first shot. That's how consistent they are. That is amazing. We fire the pink. How did he actually get craft foam? Ugh. He made the fins match the heads. I hadn't noticed that before. That kind of detail is what makes the difference. Oh, that one's definitely over. Oh, that one's short. Oh, that might have bounced out. Oh. Oh, I actually hit a previous rocket. Beautiful shot. All right. Last one, it's got a slightly larger head. We'll see if that makes much of a difference. It did feel heavier. All right. Let's go take a look. I am excited to see this up close. And so these two came short. The pink one I didn't pump as much, and that one has a little bit heavier head. So my angle was probably off on that. But as you can see, they are right in line, because this is right in line with what I was firing along. We then had both of the eBay ones went in, though they were not quite as consistent. We had this green one that I fired down a little bit because I was overshooting, and it landed beautifully. But then we have this group, and we've got 6 that are all right next to each other. In fact, the green one almost knocked that orange one out. It's still in because part of it is in. But I had 4 here, and then 2 that overshot. But again, the grouping, this is Titan rockets, and they were within a 2 to 3 foot group of each other. That is nuts. That is amazing. And then we had the stock one that overshot by a good 4 paces. So stock Titan rockets can easily hit 75 feet. And so you can take those long shots if you're willing to take the risk. That is pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna try a couple of shots at 25 and see if I can get any goals, because at that point, I'm either not gonna need to not pump as much, or I'm gonna need to angle it down, because we're not at maximum range anymore. We're at, you know, very close range. So let's check it out. All right, this is fairly close range. We're at 25 feet, and a lot of people will take shots at this range. And it can be deceptive because Titan tanks are old and they tend to have leaks, so if you pumped it up before you started your run, it might have lost most of its power by the time you get there. It also might have way more power than you're expecting, and you'll overshoot, you can undershoot, you can land in and have it slide out because you'd have to shoot at a fairly low angle. There's a lot of variables in Titanball, which is what makes it so much fun. So I'm going to try to score at this range using all of the rockets. I am going to bring the repaired ones back out because they can hit at this range, and we'll see what happens. So, stock rocket, starting off. Overshot. Small repaired head. No good. Larger repaired head. I love Titanball. eBay custom. Oh, I think it's in. I think it bounced in. And finally, the fan built custom. Perfect center shot. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yeah, those custom ones. They're both very, very good. All right, we're gonna move up and do the point blank range, because those are the ones that tend to really snooker people, sucker people in. And then I'll try some interesting stuff, because I know you guys want to see interesting stuff. So first of all, let's see what happened. This one, yep, barely in, I would say. Oh, maybe not. It's real close. It's real close. I might argue that that is in fact out. That one was beautiful center. The large foam-headed one ended up a good 25 feet that way. The stock one just a few feet out, but that is very common. And then the other repaired one ended up a good 15 feet over. Now let's see what happens at point blank range. Right, so we are now here at point blank range. I will be running up and firing either right at the edge or from inside the ring. This is what most people will do. They'll run up with a squad of somebody with a couple of riflemen and a shieldman or whatever, and they'll have somebody who's got 1 or 2 Titan rockets, and they just sprint in. This is how Brett gets most points. Brett is an amazing Titanball player. I would be willing to bet at least half, if not more, of all goals in Titanball that have ever been scored were scored by the man in the beret. But I have also seen him miss 4 shots in a row at point blank range. And I'm going to see if I can demonstrate that with some of the rockets are almost certainly going to do that. Some might not. We will see. This should be interesting. Ah, goal! Nope! Ha-ha! Yes! Ha-ha! Another goal. Yes! Almost didn't come off the post. That's good! Oh, we're good, we're good. Let's take a look at what happened. So remarkably, most of them actually did stay in. Now, it helps that I don't have a team of opponents shooting at me while I'm trying to do this. And then I have time to pump the rocket beforehand and all of that. But even then, you can see there was a couple that were pretty close. And then there was this one. And this is what will sometimes happen. You will fire at point blank range and end up 20 feet away. And I've seen that happen to Brett so many times, and he always takes it very, very well, I can assure you. And yeah, that's why we generally don't use these light repaired ones, because they fly very erratically. Or it is why we will intentionally use these, because they fly erratically. I also used to put 1 malfunctioning Titan rocket in. So we'd have 5 rocket launchers, one of which doesn't hold air. And that added an element of randomness. Okay, let's do the proper thing and look at the construction differences up close. And now for the science, or at least some of it. We're gonna start by getting the weight, because turns out to be some interesting stuff in the weight. We'll zoom in here. So starting with our stock Titan rocket, we get a weight of 42.25. So it's fairly heavy for, foam. We'll then take a look at our our repaired one that has the larger foam cone, and it's coming in at 39.92. So we've lost about 2 grams, 3 grams, give or take. And it's all in the head, which is why these are a little bit less accurate, I suspect. We then have our smaller repaired cone, and it is coming in at 39.34, so we've lost another half a gram, and it's all, of course, in that pool noodle foam there. Then we get to our eBay design, and it's coming in at 20.88. So it's half the weight, which isn't that much smaller. So that is interesting. And then we have our recent fan-built one, and it is coming in at 29.25. So it's half again as heavy as the eBay one, but still 10 grams lighter than our stock one. So that is fascinating. So interestingly, our heaviest rocket had the longest range, and our lightest rocket had the shortest range. And I'm reasonably certain that comes down to inertia. This one has the mass to keep traveling. Once you get it going, it had the same amount of energy imparted on it as the other ones did from a full Titan tank, but it went farther because it has the mass to keep going. It's harder to slow it down because it's heavier. So even though it's got a flat nose, which is affected by the wind resistance, it's able to keep going. Whereas this one, which is half the weight and also has a flat end, just doesn't have the mass to keep moving, and so it gets slowed down by air resistance and has a much shorter range. This one, having a rounded cone, which helps it not be as affected by wind resistance, and is also 10 grams heavier than this one, was able to go considerably farther. So that is definitely a design feature that's in this one's favor. I imagine if you made it a little bit heavier somehow, maybe a second ring of foam or a rubber gasket in here to give it, maybe 5 more grams of weight, give or take, you might be able to get even more range out of it, but possibly not for another reason. The other big difference between all of these is the material of the body of the rocket. These ones are pretty standard pool noodle, and as you can see, they are squishy. These ones are a much denser and almost a closed cell foam. It's not quite. It is still an open cell, but it's much, much smaller cells, and it's much, much denser. I really can't squeeze them much at all, and that's where a lot of that extra weight is coming from, is the density of the foam. I also suspect that the larger cells and the fact that the cuts that they use to bore them out are a little bit rough, whereas on the inside here it's much smoother. This one's less so, but it is still more open. I believe that a lot of the pressure from the tank is getting lost into the cells of the foam. And that's another reason that they don't have quite as much power, is the air is actually leaking into the foam itself. So if we could find a denser foam material to make the bodies out of, I think we could make even better rockets. Now these ones were very tight on the post, and that's partly just because they're brand new. I imagine over use they would get worn out and it would slide on a little bit easier. But they were a lot harder to get onto the post, and I imagine that was creating a better seal and was probably helping. These ones were a little bit easier, and that's just a matter of I've used them a few more times, and the bore might have been slightly more. These ones are also fairly tight. And you can actually, when you try to push these ones on, they will actually resist because of how good the seal is, and because we're not losing air into the foam. Here, when you slide these ones on, you can actually kind of hear and feel the pressure leaking the air into the foam. So I imagine that's probably one of the things that's costing us range out of these, is the material that the bodies are made out of. But the biggest difference, in my opinion, was the accuracy. I was able to drop one of these onto another one of these at almost 70 feet. And that is very, very impressive. And the accuracy of these was phenomenal. You saw the grouping I got 9 shots, or 7 shots within like a 2-foot, 3-foot grouping at 70 feet. And that is incredibly impressive. That's impressive for darts, much less rockets. So, yeah, train. And that's largely, I suspect, to the fin design. The fins on these are very straight, or rather, they're not warped. You see some of these ones, they've gotten a little bit warped over time from just being abused. Especially like that when it's all cattywampus. These ones are nice and straight, and they are all at a very regular angle. I mean, he has to be using a jig to put these on, given how perfectly spaced they are and how the angle is pretty much perfect on every one of them. And that is creating a very, very regular rotation, a very beautiful helix. It essentially is like rifling. And it causes them to spin and makes them incredibly accurate. Both of these are like that. They both flew straight, perfectly straight down the line, landed right on the line you were firing. These ones were were hopeless, and these ones tended to drift. And I suspect that might be because they're larger and they're in the air longer, and so they were affected more by the wind. That is a big train. But these ones, wonderfully accurate. So I'm gonna try to find the contact info for both of these guys. I think this guy might still be selling them. He was generally selling them 2 at a time every once in a while on eBay. I suspect just to supplement his income or because he wanted people to have rockets. I'm not sure which. But I think I want to say they were $25 a pair, and that's actually pretty good. That's definitely a lot less than you're going to find 2 Titan rockets. You're lucky if you can get one for $25. So a pair of them is not bad, and they were very well constructed, and they work very well. I don't have a cost on these. I will have to talk to the guy who designed them and work out how we're going to do that. But they're also very simple. I have a video on how I made mine, and it's the exact same design that these guys are using. In fact, they might have watched my video to figure out, well, not this guy, I got my idea from him. But this person may have used my video to figure out how they did it, and then they perfected the design. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure they have jigs for both the cutting and for attaching the fins, and probably, possibly even a jig for cutting the discs. And it means that they can make them very, very consistent and reliable. And so that's why I was able to drop 7 of them within an incredibly small range. So yes, both of these, I would recommend both of these. I'm hoping we can get these mass-produced and made available to the auxiliary so we can make Titanball a thing finally. So there you have it. Hope you liked this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future type tests, I do need to make one of my own because I have a different pool noodle. I have a slightly denser pool noodle and a thicker pool noodle and different heads, and I need to get one of mine put together, possibly to test against these because I'd be interested. I've made them for the Ultimator, but I haven't gotten around to making any for a Titan yet. I was all set up to try to do it, and then life happened. And somewhere in this shop I have the materials and my jigs. I know where the jigs are. There's the jigs. But I need to find my material. Anyway, there it is. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave a comment. If you thought this was fun, leave a comment. And for those of you who stuck around to the end of the video, here are some more silly rocket stuff. Rocket jump! It's good! Offhand behind the back! Go! It's good! Over the shoulder! It's good! Under the leg! It's good! Drive by! It's good! Cross-body drive by! It's good! Dual drive by! They're good! Tree! Now remember, children, never operate a rocket launcher while operating heavy equipment. Look at this spit in here! No wonder I was getting bad gas mileage. Sky's starting to leak again. Pack it up! Right. Thank you guys for watching.